Ever wondered what it would be like to step into Drakkenheim for just one thrilling night? In this guide you're getting a taste, a teaser of the mysteries and dangers that lie inside the city. This one shot is just the beginning, a glimpse of what your players could uncover. For those who don't know, Dungeons of Drakkenheim was created by the Dungeon Dudes, a pair of YouTubers who turned their homebrew setting into a fully fledged adventure. It started as a campaign setting on their channel, and then grew into a whole podcast series and published adventure for other DMs to run. So it's got this really cool origin as a community loved project that just kept growing. And here's the cool part. Dungeons of Drakkenheim is also making the leap into a Daggerheart version, so you'll see it come to life in a whole new system. It's a great little nod to how versatile the setting has become. Now let's look into In Search of the Smuggler's Secrets. This one shot is for level 3 characters and starts in Emberwood Village, a few miles south of Drakkenheim, which currently lies in a collapsed state of anarchy after a great meteor crashed into the city. Aberrant horrors and wild magic spread through the streets, and contaminating fumes polluted the city. There are 6 levels of contamination, which end up transforming you into a horror yourself as your body mutates. Luckily there are ways to cleanse themselves if you can find them. Our adventure begins in a place away from such threats. There's taverns around and a market and a shrine dedicated to the faith of the Sacred Flame. Soldiers from the local military, called the Hooded Lanterns, recuperate in this settlement. All paths ultimately point to Captain Ansem Lang, who is struggling with his dwindling ranks. He asks for help with an interesting mission and offers 300 gold pieces and future help from his faction. Further details from him have him explain that the mission is to sneak into the sewers from a maintenance hatch next to the River Dran. Then they will clear a path to 3 entry points under the city, which can then be used as safe passages for Lang's faction. The map he hands them was made by a forgotten smuggler before the meteor struck. It was then in the hands of a criminal association made up of hundreds of local gangs. A spy finally handled this map, along with some notes and useful details about the 3 access points. Who knows if any of this information is actually correct? Once all 3 points are cleared, they can fire a flare gun that they've been provided to allow local soldiers to locate the party and guide them to safety from inside the city. Is this a risky mission, they might ask? Sure is! Captain Lang will explain that the sewers are dangerous, potentially collapsed, and probably contaminated and full of hostile monsters. He has no idea whether all routes will be totally accessible. This is a job for a group of heroes, and they will be remembered in history if they can help successfully. Now, of course, the payment can be negotiated, and with a good persuasion roll, it's possible to get another 100 gold pieces out of him. Well, actually, 100 gold pieces worth of weapons, armour, or adventuring equipment. Plus, he will hand them 2 health potions for good measure. Now, you can fill in time in this village or rest until morning at first light, where a light fog makes the ruins of the city glow purple due to the delirium crystals that now stab the city. Now on the road, they reach the residences outside the city walls, which is known as the Sprawl. The long abandoned houses now look like tombstones as the haze highlights them. The haze is dust from the meteor, which prohibit the PCs from getting the benefits of long rests, even if they use magical means. So short rests only, or make the journey back out of town. Now as they're getting closer to their entry point, they notice figures on the rooftops. And then their attention goes to a striking red-haired lady with her hands raised, flanked by 4 armed allies. She walks towards them from a ruin. This is Rose Carver, who speaks in a confident and calm tone. She says she suspects the party has an old map, and her employer, the Queen of Thieves, would like the information on it. Rose says that if the party continues as they plan to go, clearing out suspected ways into the city, but then doubles back to meet her, and then telling the lanterns that all 3 routes were no longer usable, then they would get paid for the map and be able to get paid for their efforts to the lanterns too. So that's 200 gold pieces on top of whatever Ansem Lang will pay them. Seems like an easy win. Any thoughts of double-crossing the Queen's men would be regretted though. Now Rose will say there's a maintenance hatch that comes out in Dampstone Avenue in the outer city, and she will meet them there in Dampstone Square, very nearby. If they're up for it, and after they've been paid, they maybe could partake in the betting in the fight pits, and even have their names put forwards as new members of the gang. Now Rose Carver has a potion of invisibility in case a fight occurs, and a fight will probably ensure they get ambushed later on, at any time to the DM's leisure. After this scene completes, they can go on and arrive at the Dran River, where they see waters flowing south. A wooden pier lies there with decaying boats, and there's also ladders down to a wide circular pipe with broken bars, allowing the party to squeeze through, if they can safely get down lower than the pier into the circular opening. A fail could result in falling into the river. Now we're at 1C. Moving along the passage into the darkness is dangerous underfoot due to the slick walkways, so they might fall prone if they don't take care. The sewage content is actually low because the sewers aren't properly in use much these days. Refuse and algae build up in sections, and the contaminated water is 5 foot deep in the sewers. This cross section shows a torch, but that's just for the illustration. There are walkways either side of the water which deals 2d4 necrotic if they fail a DC 10 con save. If they go under the water completely, they roll with disadvantage. 1d. A water pipe feeds in opposite a dead end. The area seems to look quite clear, certainly of debris, and looking into the short tunnel reveals something glinting in mid-air. Roll perception to see a robed skeleton with goggles holding a wand up. Now walking down the passage has them go face first into a gelatinous cube. Now that is certainly 3d6 acid damage to the face, and if they run in to get the wand, like one of my players did, then that's a full-on engulf as they enter the ooze. So then it's an ooze fight. An engulfed target starts to suffocate and is restrained, taking more acid damage each round. Now a gelatinous cube is only AC 6, has only about 63 average health. Its pseudopod will generally do about 12 damage. Now it takes about an hour to get to the next scene map, so you could allow a short rest as they sit, or even as they meander slowly talking. Or you could use the random sewer encounter table. 1 has a maintenance man, now a ghoul, with a clue to the sluice gate puzzle in a crumpled up note. 2, 4 deep dregs, who ambush the party but could not mean harm and be able to show them the way to the Smuggler's tunnel, although they already have the map, don't they? 3 is a refuse pile, which could have a grey ooze in. 4, 2 gibbering mouthers babble their way towards an interaction. Now sewers seem like a good place to put yellow mould, I guess, or brown mould and green slime, all these hazards. Also, don't forget, there's now sewer plague. I mean, why not? Other ideas include a flood here and there, poisonous gas, or collapsing tunnels to run through. Eventually, they reach the emergency storm drain section, known as the sluice gate. 2A. The canal is dried up here due to a solid iron gate sealing off water. A broken wall allows access to the north. Now there's an Otyugh in this map somewhere, so if you think the party makes a lot of noise, have it move towards them, otherwise they'll run into it shortly. 2B. Lockers and tables show this was a place that used to be used by the workers. An exit stairway has now become blocked with rubble. The tables hold rusted tools, coffee cups and rotted food and litter. Inside the lockers there are scraps of clothing, personal items, probably a few coins, an old hooded lantern and a flask of lantern oil. The highest roll to search for loot also finds a cape of the mountebank. The cape allows the casting of Dimension Door. No, I don't know why either. 2C. This room of machinery and gears operates gates throughout the tunnels. An Otyugh chomps down on a deep dreg's corpse. It grunts as it turns to face the players and attacks intruders. Now there's 3 levers prominently sticking out of a machine. The first one is iron, the second one is brass, and the third one is copper. While the first lever is currently pulled down, the second and third are in the middle position. Neutral, I suppose. Looking around, they'll find a soggy book on a desk. Looking in it, inside the cover is the phrase, "Just remember the old rhyme," written by someone. 2D. In this maintenance room is all the tools and gear needed for the maintenance crew. There's a dwarf's head spiked on a broom handle thrust into the floor. The undead head mutters as its white eyes stare blankly. It says this on repeat: raise your coppers, then bury the brass, but don't flip the iron lever last. Okay, they can move the copper or the brass first, then the iron should be moved second, and then whichever final lever they've not yet pulled can be moved. As long as the iron is moved second, we're all good. I picture the brass or copper being a latch holding the iron door in place. So if the iron lever is activated first, then it grinds trying to raise up the door, but can't due to its latch, and water is emptied out into a corridor beyond. If the iron lever is pulled last, then the gate grinds under the water's pressure, and there's a load of water which starts to pour contaminated water into this room with burst pipes. That means that repairs need to be done straight away, because the room floods a lot, and then, ultimately disperses into the corridors. But if used correctly, the door raises and water empties towards 2A. Now, 2E, this is now emptied of water, and another hour of travelling is next. But what maps will fill those unmapped in-between sections? Here's Matthew Mercer to suggest some.
Hi critters, I'm Matt Mercer, and I'm here to suggest Loki battle mats for many sewer maps, which you can mix and match to make for big play areas. I use these for when me and Marisha play at home. RoboDad doesn't have an affiliate link, but he thinks these products are fantastic. Now, maps or no maps? How do you want to do this?
The Smuggler's Tunnel is home to many deep dregs, who worship someone called the Duchess. Deep dregs might be fairly easy combat, but they live in large numbers, so can easily overwhelm too. I think you should make sure you describe larger numbers than the book suggests, and then, if there's a combat, have a load of them run away and disperse. If you need more enemies, they can come back with backup, attacking waves or something. But you can always add more or less on the fly if needed. 3A. They meet a guard at a junction, who asks what are they doing in the sewers. Then, have you come to seek guidance from the Duchess? This is Gloop, and he's cautious but friendly. Getting past Gloop requires 3 DC 13 successful checks before they fail 3 times. Sort of like a first to 3 or first to fail 3. And conversation with Gloop explains that they must be cleansed by the priest Blip Bloop in preparation for the potential meeting with the Duchess. Keep the Duchess vague, but detail the reverence they have for her. If Gloop needs backup, he whistles and many deep dregs splosh up from the water nearby. 3B. It's obvious that someone has mined through tunnel walls and gone on to reinforce these new tunnels with the mud and wooden brackets and beams. Lanterns dangle from chains from the roof, and Gloop even explains that this was all done before he was born. There's fishfolk prints pressed into the muddy ground to be seen. 3C. These tunnels seem to eventually hit the foundations of the city walls, and then just sharply burrow down. The steep slope needs special care to traverse, and one slip results in a slide that can take out party members in front. Gloop will advise caution from up front. 3D. The tunnels lead to a dugout chamber, where smugglers must have met in secret to trade or store their stolen wares. Now it's a nest for fishfolk, who gather all this trash together as sort of makeshift nests. A bunch of storage crates still pile up here, and if they're approached to be examined, let your players find a chest hidden sort of beneath or next to. But place discoverable loot somewhere here. A potion of gaseous form, a scroll of water breathing, and 25 silver pieces. There are 6 deep dregs who are sort of guarding here and observing the party. Feel free to scatter more as extras. 3E. Entering the largest room so far, they'll see a fire or two illuminating this statue in the middle. It's constructed from scraps and findings down here. It looks like a sea creature of some kind, and wears a crown of sorts, and holds a bone staff. Many deep dregs bustle around here, but around the statue itself, certain dregs seem to be worshipping it. Gloop calls Blip Bloop over and explains the reasons the PCs are here. Unless your Gloop is dead. R.I.P. Gloop. Blip Bloop will excitedly welcome the party, and he may scoop something from a cauldron as he approaches. The party can only interact with the statue if they drink a slimy liquid to cleanse them of some unknown diseases, or just bad intent, whatever. It's actually a DC 13 con save, or you gain a level of contamination. Apparently, the Duchess is going to cleanse the streets of Drakkenheim, and if the party is going to take a route further into the city, they must be cleansed anyway so that no pollutant gets further into the city as we try to cleanse it. Of course, if they refuse to be cleansed, then they must return back the way they came. Blip Bloop implores them to keep this society secret from whoever they are here on behalf of, and if this is a further fight, then again, throw in some waves of enemies, or simply keep the 5 that is suggested. Deep Dregs can be Sahugin or Mero. Mero is AC 13, 45 average health, multi-attack. Bite does about 6 piercing and gives you the poison condition. Claws, about 9 slashing. Harpoon at range for 11 piercing, and it can reel you in. Sahugin Warrior, AC 12, 22 average health. Has advantage on attack rolls against a creature that is injured. Claws you for 4 slashing, so they can be quite effective in numbers. If they do get cleansed, then they can approach the statue. And I told that to communicate with the Duchess, they place a hand on the crown, which looks to be a large fish skull at this close proximity, have their eyes turn white and their heads go back as they make an intelligence save of DC 15 and take 3d6 psychic damage on a fail. A failed save will give them visions of Drakkenheim being nightmarishly destroyed by all manner of fish-like sea monsters. Deliver a frenzied, tentacle-laden picture of fishy destruction. Something unseen claws at their mind as it roots some fishy intellect within their brains. Bad dreams come to every long rest for 1d4 days. But on a success, the dark of an endless ocean shows a massive eel face with tendrils ending in further eel heads. The Duchess says that it will be the saviour of the city and of the PC. Drink of the ritual juice once more to receive my gifts, dear child. More drinks means more contagion, which means they transform further. Maybe a cleansing is coming to the world, maybe not. Describe intriguing boxes and crates and sacks around the room's edges. The fish folk mainly have interest in their god, but if you want to add bits and bats, store them in these boxes. You could put little crumbs as to further adventures in the city if they want to keep playing. Blip Bloop will allow them to use this route again if things have gone in a friendly way. Things to be found in this room include a scroll of Entangle, a scroll of Unseen Servant, and a potion of healing. 3F. If they're able to continue further down the passages, they eventually see a route to an exit. Up an access hatch. Then another hour goes by. So maybe throw in some rattlings, of which there are various types in the Drakkenheim monster book, or have an active smuggling room with bandits who are changed by the delirium shards. But once they reach below the temple gate and find themselves on a stone-covered floor and under a vaulted ceiling, make sure they know this is the Sally Port. It's a pill-shaped chamber that has great stone pillars as supports. 6 gargoyle statues are spread out, and a massive solid reinforced door blocks the way forward. There doesn't seem to be a way to open this door, so it must open from the other side. Magic can be detected to reveal this side of the door has an arcane lock. Once that is dealt with, the door could be lifted on a strength of 20, but a second strength of 20 is needed to avoid dropping the door on someone who's trying to sneak under. 2 of the gargoyles will attack. If the arcane lock is triggered, the door takes damage or the gargoyles themselves take damage, or are attacked at all even if it misses. When one statue is destroyed, another activates. So there should only basically be 2 gargoyles in the fight at once. But rules like this are just suggestions, you do you. So overcoming the arcane lock deals 2d10 lightning damage. Destroy the guarding gargoyles, and then get under the door to operate the winch on the other side to raise the door, which stays open for 60 seconds. There are 3 possible exits, because they could simply backtrack all the way to the beginning, but realistically they'll come out either inside the city at Lantern's Way and fire a flare, or come out at Dampstone Avenue to meet Rose Carver. Lantern's Way is a cobbled street, which is dark as night falls. A lamplight glows brighter from a corner in the city. The hooded lanterns have a stronghold close by, but one appears to be a creature in rags stags with two lamps hanging off its back starts to edge closer. Now the town's lamplighters have been corrupted by contamination so that they're now abominations. It cries out, "Keep the lights! Must not let the darkness in!" You could allow a nature or a survival check to ascertain assumptions about these lamplighters and find out what their resistances are, or what it's likely to attack with. It will even give them the highest and lowest of their ability scores, but I'm not keen on that. Now, lamplighters usually flee when they've got to a quarter of the health left. Their AC is 15, their health is average of 85, they resist fire and radiant damage, they bite for 22 necrotic, they have different beams from their lanterns. Blasting light, which does 10 force damage, blinding light, which blinds you and does 10 radiant damage, burning light, 10 fire damage, and witch light, which charms you and makes you walk towards the lamplighter. Finally, it's got a reaction, warding flare. The target is disadvantaged on their next attack against the lamplighter. Naturally, the party could hide with a successful group check, or just run away. But using the flare to be rescued will reveal them. Now, 3 rounds in to this lamplighter attack, and so therefore you could maybe have 2, because you're going to get help in a minute. 3 hooded lanterns using scout stats help the party and lead them to safety before escorting them out of the inner city. Now, if they decide to detour outside the city walls to meet the Queen's men, they'll come up in a side alley just near Dampstone Square, where they wait in an unlit area. The book suggests the lamplighter fight is ported to there instead, not as well as. So the lamplighter scene is the final fight. Now, if you're meeting Rose, she only pays them half what she promised. So that might actually be the final fight against a bandit captain and 2 thugs. And if you get the Drakkenheim monster book, then you've got loads of options. The hooded lanterns, on the other hand, will pay as they said they would, and also give the party a writ of passage to freely pass through Shepherd's Gate in future stories. Hit the buttons if you want more like this, and I'll see you in the next video.